This is Albertson Stadium, formerly known as Bronco Stadium until 2014. See their blue field? It's pretty cool, right? This stadium is home to Boise State University's football team. Boise State hasn't produced a lot of mega NFL stars. They especially haven't done that at the quarterback position. In fact, as of 2020, only 2 Boise State quarterbacks have been selected in the NFL draft, and those were both in the 1970s. Think about that for a minute. From 1976 to 2020, not a single Boise State quarterback has been drafted by an NFL team. That's 44 years of quarterbacks who were considered not good enough to be drafted. 44 years of football mean there's been a lot of people at the quarterback position for Boise State. Throughout all of those quarterbacks, there is one man who should always be brought up as one of the best Boise State quarterbacks, Jared Zabransky. My name is Gavin Norley, and I'm here to make the story of Jared Zabransky more known than it is. The Zabransky story starts in Hermiston, Oregon. Zabransky grew up in a farming family here. He's quoted saying, "It was pretty quiet growing up. There's not a lot going on, so you had to create your own stuff to do. I rode a lot of four-wheelers and dirt bikes growing up." He went to Hermiston High School and was just a freak athlete. He played football, baseball, and basketball, being an all-conference selection for all three. In football, he was under the helm of a run-first offense. He didn't get to pass a lot, and the lack of passing numbers hurt him in being recruited to, throw the ball for a college football team. Speaking of being recruited, I'm going to do some justice for Jared here. So, if you don't know a lot about 24/7 Sports, it's basically where you can go to see where athletes in high school are committing to play college sports. For more hyped up prospects, let's take running back Derrick Henry, for example. It has way more information. You can see the ratings, all of the schools they considered, a more in-depth timeline of events, and scouting reports. None of that is here for Zabransky. But a good amount of information is available publicly. It's been published that Zabransky had main suitors in both Boise State and Idaho. He also had a slight interest from Oregon and Oregon State. Idaho, in fact, offered him a scholarship for football. He then orally committed to Idaho, but chose Boise State last minute without telling the Vandals football program. All this information is available, but yet no one has updated his 24/7 page to show it. So, if you want to do that, please do it. Flash forward to 2004. Zabransky's a sophomore at Boise State. Ryan Dinwiddie just wrapped up his senior year after passing for over 4,000 yards and 31 touchdowns. It's safe to say Jared has big shoes to fill. I went on the Boise State football subreddit to get some fans' perspectives on Zabransky being announced the starter in 2004. Here's some of the stuff they said. Seemed like the right choice for the starter his sophomore year. It was very exciting to have a sophomore win the job. I looked forward to seeing a 3-year starter. Zabransky was stepping up, and boy did he deliver. In his first season as a starter, he took Boise to an 11-1 record. He passed for over 2,900 yards with 16 touchdowns. He was named Honorable Mention All-America, second team All-Western Athletic Conference, and voted the team's MVP for that season. However, 2005 wasn't Zabransky's best year. In fact, it was kind of horrendous. He passed for less yards than last season and threw 16 interceptions. That's as many interceptions for Zabransky this year as touchdowns the year prior. The opener of the 2005 season was especially tough for Jared. Number 18 ranked Boise State was set to play the number 13 ranked Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, Georgia. There was a lot of pressure on Zabransky, and he crumbled.
Yeah!
Here's the stat lines for the 2 starting quarterbacks of that game. Yeah, Boise State went on to lose this game 48-13. However, even after all the interceptions, being benched for his backup more than a couple times, Jared was still the starter. He got Boise State to the MPC Computers Bowl. This was a bowl game in Boise against Boston College. This game was almost historical for Boise. Boise was down 24-0 at the half, but then Boise fought back. Boise brought themselves back and had the score at 27-21 late in the fourth quarter. All Zabransky needed to do was get a touchdown, and they'd win. In the red zone, with 44 seconds left, he didn't.
They need to get a touchdown from the 12-yard line. Zabransky throws an interception. Interception made by Ryan Glasper, his second of the game. And it looks like it's going to be the Boston College Eagles winning their 6th consecutive bowl game.
Even after this, Zabransky was still a top QB in the nation. He was named the 11th best quarterback in the country by the Sporting News and was added to the 2006 Maxwell Award watch list. He also, at this point, had to let everyone know he could throw a potato at least 80 yards. Some sources say 80 yards and some say 100. 2006 came, and Zabransky was ready to put himself in the history books. Boise State started the 2006 season unranked, but the 2006 Broncos were a favorite in the league's preseason media poll to win the WAC title. But Boise lit fire. They started winning, and winning. Do you see where this is going? They won a lot. But then Boise did something I don't think anyone thought they were going to do. Boise State was undefeated. After this, they punched a spot to the Fiesta Bowl. This game was going to be one of the biggest stages they've been on, but a monster stood in the way of Boise State's treasure. Oklahoma was favored to win this game by Vegas and CSTV.
I think the big game experience gives the Sooners an edge, and they win the Fiesta Bowl in a tight one.
But Boise State had other plans. With 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter, down by 7, Boise State sends themselves into overtime.
To the corner of the end zone! Can you believe that? Montgomery, and it is good. Well, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
Oklahoma scores in overtime.
Sideline. Leaps. Did he get in or step out of bounds? Touchdown, Adrian Peterson.
And then Boise State does another trick play for a touchdown.
He's going to throw it to the end zone. Touchdown!
And then, on a 2-point conversion, Boise puts themselves in the history books again in one of the most iconic plays in college football history.
Right. Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe
it? Who was at quarterback for that play? Jared Zabransky. Boise State ends the season 13-0. Running back Ian Johnson proposes to his cheerleader girlfriend during an interview. Arash Markazi of Sports Illustrated said this about the ending. When it was over, even Hollywood couldn't have scripted a more dramatic ending. This was the ultimate underdog story of a team that believed from the start, refused to give up, even when it looked bleak, and pulled off the improbable. It's one thing for a Cinderella team to upset a heavily favored opponent, but come on, this was ridiculous. Boise State's mind-numbing 43-42 victory over Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl on Monday night had everything and will go down as one of the best games in college football history. According to somebody on the Boise State football subreddit, after this game, Zabransky walked into a bar, took a few steps past the bouncers, stopped, and yelled, "I'm Jared fucking Zabransky." That right there is a man who is on top of the world. After this legendary bowl performance, Zabransky got himself a spot on the cover of that year's NCAA football game. If you had told Jared Zabransky, when he was chucking potatoes on a farm in Oregon, that he was going to be a part of one of the most historic games in college football history, go undefeated in a season, and be on the cover of a college football video game, he'd probably laugh and call you crazy. But this all happened for him in essentially 1 year of his life. If I take away Zabransky and just show you these accolades, you'd think these are the accolades of an amazing and storied college football player. But Zabransky gets almost no recognition. Zabransky didn't get drafted by any NFL team. He was signed by 2, but never got to play in an NFL game. After some time in the CFL, that was it for the football career of Jared Zabransky. Now, he's just a family man with 2 kids. I wanted to tell his story because I believe Jared Zabransky should be a bigger deal than he is. I also started this story because I want to use Zabransky as a motivation for all of us. At the time of this video being made, we are in a global pandemic. A virus has put our country on halt. People are unemployed, social connections are put on hold, and life seems bleak. But we should use Jared Zabransky as a reason to stay strong. Jared Zabransky was just a kid on a potato farm. He lived day by day, not really doing much, but he had dreams, just like we all do. What if he gave up on those dreams? What if he chose not to play sports, and instead just became a guy who chucks potatoes really far? Then he wouldn't have all of this. That's how we all need to think right now. Don't quit, and don't abandon your dreams because of circumstances out of your control. Because you don't know what you might accomplish.
49